Hey everyone, Nate Brown here, and welcome to section 8 of my tutorial on how to make a basic animation rig in Blender. In this section, we are going to be mirroring the arm and leg across the center here, just copying those over to the other side so that our rig is complete. The first thing that we have to do actually is to rename these all so that they indicate that these are the left side, his left leg and left arm. All of these bones need to say that they are the left side of his body. And the way we're going to do that is obviously not going through and clicking on everything and renaming it. That would take way too long. So what we're going to do is we are going to select all of this, and then Blender has this handy function where you can name something either the left side or the right side, and you can flip that back and forth. It basically just adds a .l or .r at the end of the name, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We need to select all of the bones on the right side here. We'll start with the arm, and that means the IK, the FK, and the bound arm, all of them. So go into your, first let's go into edit mode. Then you want to go into your armature menu over here, your armature tab. And on your layers, shift select all three of the layers that we have things on here so we can see all of the bones of everything. Then grab your box select tool, your select box. Just drag select that whole section there, and that should grab everything. Make sure everything's kind of highlighted there. That looks pretty good. And now what we're going to do is just right click, go to names, and we can do auto name left/right. You click on that, and it should add a .l to all of your things that you have selected right now, which is perfect because we actually are looking at the left side here. If for whatever reason it says .r or you modeled the right side first or something like that, just right click again, go into names, and you can hit flip names to flip it to .r. Okay, so now that we've got our names set, we just need to duplicate this across the center of our scene over to this other arm. And as long as our character is sitting right in the center, the easiest way to do that is actually to use what's called symmetrize right here. I don't know if that would be symmetrize or symmetrize. What it does is it forces it creates symmetry by copying whatever you have selected over to the other side as well, and it actually does a really good job of keeping all your constraints and that kind of stuff. There is a little bit of work we'll have to do to clean it up afterwards, but go ahead and hit symmetrize, and that should copy everything over to the other side. And the good thing about symmetrize, rather than duplicating all of everything we had copied there or selected there, and then mirroring it across the x-axis here, which is another way to do it. The good thing about doing it this way is that it doesn't add a 001 at the end of the name, because when you duplicate it, it duplicates the exact name you have there, and in that case adds a 001 because we haven't had a chance to change the name, flip the names yet. So this way is just a little bit easier because you don't have to go in and change all the names later on like that. As you can see in our hierarchy, we can come down here and we can see that everything that we just used symmetrize to bring over here already has a .r at the end of it, so that we're all set on the naming. So all we really need to do is we do have to do a few things. So let's go into pose mode and just select your first layer there. Now we can already see that our constraints are still here for the bound arm. We're still all set for our constraints. But what is not connected, unfortunately, are all of our custom properties here. None of these are connected. So we will have to go through and reconnect all of those. But all of our constraints should be the same. So first, before we start doing all of that stuff, let's go in and let's duplicate the leg as well. Let's get that copied over. So same thing we just did. We're going to go into edit mode, grab our box select. Everything for the leg is on that first layer, so it should all be visible already. Just grab the whole leg. Make sure you got everything selected there. Right click, go to names, auto left right. Should put an L on behind of all of our names there, so that's perfect. And then let's right click and symmetrize. Perfect. And that should have put the R on all of our names, so that should be excellent. Perfect. And again, if we go into pose mode, everything should be pretty much the same, although I will say it looks like our IK here is snapping the wrong direction. Let's move this around and just see what's going on with this. Oops, we actually want to do that with our foot controller down here. Yeah, you can see our IK is actually flipping the wrong direction on the leg, and I'm pretty sure it's flipping the correct direction on the arm, but we'll check that in a second. So it's weird that that flipped around, but all we're going to do is change our pole angle because the leg is nice and simple. We just use the pole angle for everything on the leg. So now both legs are facing forward. Whoops. Let's get this back to 0, and then we'll flip that pole angle to 0. Excellent. Let's look at the arm. Let's see if our IK is still working correctly. Go into your armature menu, and we've got our IK things on the 3rd layer here. Let's just move this around. Alright, so that actually looks like it's working fine. So for whatever reason, the leg flipped around. The arm seems to be oriented perfectly, though, so we don't have to worry about anything there. Excellent. Okay, so stay in pose mode. I would just select your first layer here, and we're going to go through and let's first fix our more complicated things, which is really just on the hand. I want to fix the IK/FK first for the custom property, and then we'll fix the joint stiffness as well. That's another more complicated one. So go into your hand controller, go down to your bone properties, IK/FK. Let's copy that as a new driver. And then we're going to go into our wrist bone, and if you're on the first layer where you can see this hand controller, these should be the 3 bones that we're changing here. And we're going to go into our constraints menu down here. Just right click on influence, paste driver, same thing for the bottom one, paste driver, same thing for the forearm, same thing for the bicep. Now remember, there was that one more step we had to do. We have to go in and add that expression so that these will be opposite each other. So when one is at 0, the other is at 1, and vice versa. So in our wrist here, let's just add that to the bottom one. I believe that's what we did on the other arm. So we can right click on this, do edit driver, and then in here we can change our type to scripted expression. And our expression is going to include the IK/FK. So just before that, I'm going to write ABS, open parentheses, IK_FK, -1, close parentheses. Go ahead and copy that because we're going to paste it onto the other 2 bones as well. Hit update dependencies, and you see that one goes to 1 now. Go over to your forearm, do the same thing. Right click on the bottom one here, edit driver, change this to scripted expression, and then we can paste our expression in there, which is ABS, open parentheses, IK_FK, -1, close parentheses. And then we just got to do the same thing for the bicep. On the IK here, the IK influence, we're just adding a scripted expression and pasting our expression in there. Alright, now we can just test this out by, let's make it so that we can see the first layer and at least the 3rd layer as well. You could do all if you wanted to, but it's not totally necessary. We can just drag the IK arm over here, maybe just put it in a little bit of a weird position. And then we want to go into our hand controller, down to our bone properties, and we can slide this IK/FK slider, and it looks like it's working perfectly. It's going back and forth between the IK and the FK arms. Perfect. Alright. Let's fix the socket stiffness for the FK arm. So in our layers, in our armature menu here, let's make our first and second layers visible here. And then we want to go into our hand controller, to our bone properties, find your socket stiffness. For me is this top one up here. Right click, copy as new driver, click on your socket here, and then we want to go into the constraints menu for the socket. And the copy location we want to keep the same. That one's fine. It's the copy rotation that we want to add this to only. So right click on your influence there, paste driver, and that actually should be it. We shouldn't need to affect anything with that. We don't have to change the expressions, anything like that. So that's all set. And now I'm just going to go through for everything on the hand controller and everything on the foot controller that we just did in the last video. We just have to go through on the right side here and relink all of these custom properties that we have here to the fingers and different effectors on the hand. Same thing for the foot. Whoa, whoops. Same thing for the foot. We just got to re-add all of those things. So I'm going to quickly do that here. If you need help with that, head on back to the last video where we went through and did all of that. That should show everything. Alright, and there it is. So everything should be working on both sides of our rig now. I hope this video has been helpful for you. In the next section, we're going to be talking about custom shapes for bones, and we're going to be changing a couple of these bones into circles and different controller shapes that are a little more pleasing to the eye, a little easier to grab when you're animating on this. We're also going to be hiding a lot of these bones so that what we're left with is just going to be a nice sleek rig that just looks exactly like how you would expect it to look, and all the functionality you need is there. All the functionality that you don't want the animator to touch will be hidden. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time. Thank you.